a lot of projects, a lot of things that you've been trying to push forward with and push forward to move ahead with, they might be a little bit at a standstill. So, it's important to kind of like double check our work, look over everything that we have submitted, and especially allow time for the process to naturally unfold, okay? You guys are generally quite patient, but I feel an energy of like impatience coming out in this spread a little bit, wanting to move things along, wanting progress, wanting like contact, wanting communication. And so let things kind of naturally unfold, okay? When I was shuffling out this reading, this spread for this month's reading, I felt very tense. And the tenseness is like it's not so much in the mind. I feel like it was like near the throat, like wanting to say something but not knowing how to say it, wanting to move things along but not knowing when is the right time, not wanting to be pushy, not wanting to be impulsive. And it's like trying to find the balance between when to stop, when to go. And so I feel like there might be like a very tense energy that you're coping with. You might be in a state where you are feeling like, what do I do? Like a state of unknown, a state of suspension, a state of discomfort even. And so I just want to, preface this reading by telling you that I feel like things are going to, naturally unfold and move along in the direction that you're hoping for. There will be a lot more clarity coming in for the month. Shuffling this spread is I see like it's almost like a battle scene. It's like it looks to me like, the remnants of trench warfare. It's a battleground. It's very, very muddy, and I can't even tell if there are bodies strewn about or if it's just mud, if it's just muck. But there's like a pile of mud, and then there's like a giant flag on top of that pile. It's like the flagpole is like stuck to the ground, and there's the flag is billowing, and it's a white flag. And the white flag is all about surrender, okay? It's all about like surrendering, accepting. And when I saw this flag just billowing in the wind, in the breeze, in the aftermath of this catastrophic, battle or whatever you call it, it's a situation where there's nothing is left. And it needs to either be built up from the ground up, it needs to be revived, or it needs to just be accepted. And so when I saw the white flag in the midst of this gray, bleak looking landscape, I was thinking, it's actually not so bad because it's a clean canvas. It's a clean slate for you to start something in. And overall, the whole, flag billowing in the breeze, it just feels very peaceful, okay? And so what I'm seeing in this spread, in contrast to that flag, is I do see a clash when it comes to egos, okay? It's between you and another person. And I feel like the energy might be a little bit mirrored. You mirroring them mirroring your energy. You behave a certain way, and so they in turn behave a specific way, and vice versa. So it's like, you did this, so then I do that. It's very tit for tat. But then I also feel like there's no communication between you and this other person. And so I feel like everything is kind of like assumed, but it's not really talked about. It's not really laid out bare and in the open. So everything is done in a very like presumptuous way. That person seems very detached, and so I'm going to keep my cool and also detach. Or, you know what, they don't seem like they're very interested in me, so I'm just going to withdraw and focus on my other options or focus on myself. Or the other day, they seemed like they were, interested in somebody else, so I'm going to play it cool and just retreat and give them their space. So it's very like, the energy is very mirrored, okay? And I feel like underneath the facade, behind like these So basically I'm seeing two people kind of like mirroring and dancing around one another. And I feel like there's no, for whatever reason, there's no communication between you and that person. And so you're assuming things about them, they're assuming things about you, and you guys are acting or reacting in accordance with what you assume about one another. But you don't have all the information, you don't have all the details, you don't know if what you're making assumptions about is reality. But you're looking at the way this person is behaving, and you're just like, I'm going to adjust my behavior based on what they're saying. So I feel like this dance off, or this, dancing around each other, has been happening for quite some time. And I feel like for many of you, it might have been, the past 3 months, the past 5 months, the past 6 months, like the past year. And I feel like it was tiring. That's what it feels like. And I keep feeling like the two of you have a lot that you want to say to one another. You have a lot that you want to express to one another. And I do sense an overall sense of like, wanting to connect again, wanting to communicate again, wanting to like have that closeness again. But for whatever reason, there has been some type of an emotional divide, even a physical rift between two people, okay? And what you're dealing with right now, I don't feel like it's completely comfortable. That's why I felt like it was very tense, okay? So the first card out of the deck is pretty much echoing the same theme, okay? So this is the Hangman, and this is somebody who's bound up, tied up, and in a straitjacket and unable to move. All the blood is rushing to his head, okay? And in this situation, it's like there's so much I want to get done. I want to free myself. I want to move forward. I want to move on. But I can't really make a move. I don't have all the answers. I don't have the evidence. I don't have clarity in order to either break away from a situation or have the clarity in order to react to a situation in a certain way. And so I feel like in a connection between you and another person, one party feels very much tied up and bound and not able to make a decision. And then I also feel like the other party is waiting, okay? This person is in stagnation and this person's waiting. They've got their binoculars, they're scanning the horizon, looking for signs of you, looking for communication, potentially even looking for contact. And I feel for many of you, you want to reach out, you want to make your presence known, you want to communicate, you want to, you want to reconnect. And they want to reconnect too. But I feel for whatever reason, they feel like you need to make a move, either because they've always made the move in the past, either because they have always been the one to reach out in the past. You're dealing with someone who's very bold, who's very like, I don't think that they are impulsive. I feel like they're very bold. They're very passionate. They're very driven. Whatever they want to do, they have just simply got up and do them. And, Taurus, you guys are very methodical. You guys like to take your time to mull things over, to, find the right time, find the right moment, find the right words. And so in their eyes, they're feeling like you're keeping yourself stuck. In their eyes, you're not acting fast enough. And they're scanning the horizon for other opportunities out there. If you're amongst those opportunities, great. If not, they're not going to be putting their life on hold. So even though the connection between the two of you is very phenomenal, I feel like there's a really, really strong connection here. But then I also feel like both people are very much guarded because of, past hurts, because of the assumptions. Because of like miscommunication, even because of lack of communication. But there is definitely a longing here about two people wanting to reconnect, wanting to be in each other's lives again, wanting to swap stories, wanting to catch up, wanting to, see what they're up to. And they likewise want the same things. They want to know what you're up to, what you're doing. Is there anything they can help you with? So I feel like this is a person that really cares about your well-being. And if it's a love interest, I do feel like they have expressed how they felt about you. And you're probably wondering, do they still feel the same about me? They might have told you this, months ago. And you're just like, but do they still feel the same? Are their feelings still the same for me, despite the rift, despite the lack of constant communication? They feel like you might be tied up in something, in some situation. I feel like this hangman is you. They feel like you might have been tied up in a situation, and they would love it if they can help you out of it. They want to be of service. They want to know if there's anything they can do to help. They want to know if you're okay. And I feel like, out of the sense of personal responsibility, you got yourself into this situation and you're just like, I want to get myself out. I want to be the one that gets himself or herself out of this situation. So like, I feel like you want to be the one to, get yourself out. I don't feel like you want anyone to help you. You're still buying your time. You're still thinking about it. You're still trying to find like the most expedient, or even the least cumbersome way of getting yourself out of this situation. Some of you could be, tied up in like finances, like marriage and financial obligations that you can't really get yourself out of. And you're trying to move on with your life. You're trying to move to another person. But for whatever reason, things feel a little bit stuck. For others of you, I feel like this might be like a work situation where somebody is telling you, hey, here's a new job, here's a way out. But I feel like you're contemplating everything that you would lose or everything that you would leave behind. And so you're not really making a move and you're not moving forward with this new venture. And either way, I just feel like this is very much, I feel like it's a lot more relationship, interpersonal type of a reading. And so I feel like the both of you are trying to play it cool, and the both of you are waiting for one another to kind of reach out, okay? I feel like there's a little bit of guilt here from your end, Taurus. We have here the Nine of Swords, and the Nine of Swords is like unable to sleep at night, having oftentimes it's like dealing with physical aches and pains. Okay, some of you might physically be in a state where you're feeling under the weather, you're feeling like you're not able to get rested, you're feeling just unwell. You're feeling muscle aches and pains. It could be as a result of a flu. It could be as a result of like overexerting, like working out too hard at the gym, pulling on muscles, things like that. But with this Nine of Swords, if we're not talking about in the physical way, this can be like thinking about worst case scenarios, thinking about like, replaying scenarios over and over and over again in our head. Like, did I say something wrong? Did I say something that could be misunderstood? Did I say something that could be misconstrued? Or did I make a fool out of myself? Did the person understand what I said? Did they get my message? Did they get my email? Did they get the phone call? Maybe there was, signal interference and they never got my phone call. Maybe I should call them again. If I call them again, would it seem like I am too pushy or too readily available? So I feel like you have a million thoughts running through your head about a situation. And I feel that it's keeping you up at night. And when I mentioned there's a little bit of guilt here too, I just feel like you have been spending your time focusing on you. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all need to do that. Self-care is important. And I feel like the other person might have reached out. And if you have not received the message, or if you have left the message on read and never responded, you might have felt like you missed the boat. You might have felt like, oh, I should have responded, or I wish, I had responded. It seemed to me like there was something time sensitive. And now that it has, the message was like read but never responded to, now it's a little bit awkward having to, reach out to this person or wanting to make this, to reconnect with this person. It just feels to me like, missing a boat, or like waiting for the right time, or it's so belated that we don't know what to say. We don't know how to segue in to a conversation. We don't know how to make how to reconnect. We don't know what to say to reach out and to get the other person to respond. So that's what it feels like to me. I feel like whoever that was waiting on you to make a decision or to even reach out or to even communicate or to even respond to whatever messages they were sending to you, I feel like they felt very hurt. That's what it seems like to me. I have this Nine of Cups, which generally is a really, really good card. Okay, I usually think of this as like wish fulfillment, kid in a candy store, a bear with his pot of honey. But in this sense, it could be like a state where you are overindulging on something that is very rich or something that is really, really good. And overindulgence can take its toll on your body, right? On your digestive system. You could like be overdosing. Like, so for example, this bear with this pot of honey. It's like too much of a good thing. Getting a stomach ache, feeling that sugar high and then that sugar crash. And so I feel like the person that you're dealing with, I feel like when you're interacting with them on a good day, things can feel very phenomenally good for this person. They can be on like cloud nine. They really like you. They really like this connection. I feel like they really, really like you. And then for whatever reason, when the communication stopped, and I feel like it was stopped from your end for whatever reason. You were tied up in other obligations. You had other things that you had to deal with. And so time passed. And then they're wondering, what happened? Why didn't they communicate? And I feel like it left them in a state of despair. Okay, I'm getting despair. Despair. From this card, where they feel very rejected. They feel very unappreciated. They feel a little bit stabbed in the heart. He's got like a tree branch growing out of his chest. And so I feel like, for whatever reason, this person feels very much like they don't even know what happened. And I feel that they're trying their best to move on with their lives. Being single, Nine of Pentacles. Going about their life, taking care of their work, doing their jobs very diligently, hanging out with their friends, like resuming their life and making things feel normal to them and not worrying so much and trying to, kind of push the memories and the remnants of you to the back of their mind so that it doesn't affect them on a daily basis. And they're putting on a brave face, okay? And then I have like the Emperor, and this is what I mean by, it's a very ego-driven type of energy where two people are kind of like, we don't know where we stand with each other. So much time has passed. And two people are wondering, like wanting to reconnect and then wondering, or maybe, so-and-so is already in a relationship, and you're probably thinking maybe so-and-so is already in a relationship. And so there's a stalemate. No one is really reaching out. So the Nine of Pentacles, this is someone who's very independent and they're single. The Emperor, this is somebody who's in a relationship. And so I feel like one or both of you could be in relationships, or one person is now newly single and the other person is in a relationship. So I feel like the sense of timing might be a little bit off in this union. You guys were never single at the same time, or, you both had significant others that you were in committed relationships with. And I feel as if, even if you're both single now, it's really hard, like so much time has passed, so much has been said and done, that it's really hard to kind of like reconnect. It's really hard to come back together. I feel like they look at you as this Nine of Pentacles, where you might be newly single and you're able to take care of yourself. You're looking very attractive and very good. And with this Emperor energy, the Emperor is very stubborn. He doesn't make decisions with his heart. He doesn't really talk about how he feels. This is a very solutions-oriented type of a person. And this is somebody who makes practical decisions. And they make really solid, good decisions. But they're very, very practical decisions. They're based in the real world, and they just don't factor in, the emotional aspect of decision making. And so what I'm feeling is you might be dealing with someone who is a little bit rigid, who is a little bit like they're very much by the book, by the rules, okay? And they're very like, it's about fairness. So I feel like, if they reach out once and you reach out, then the next time they're going to reach out. If they reach out repeatedly 3, 4, 5 times and they don't really get a response from you, they're going to shut off that avenue of communication because they're all about fairness. And so I feel like there's a situation here where you both are kind of looking at each other, wanting to communicate, wanting to reach out, and you're dealing with somebody who is very, very, very prideful and who is very stubborn. And I also feel like in the past, they might have told you, what they wanted. They might have told you what they expected from you. And for whatever reason, you heard what they were saying and it registered in your mind. But for whatever reason, I feel like it might have slipped your mind because there were many, many things that were on your mind that you were concerned about. And so whatever this person said to you as to their expectations, as to the things that they want, and in particular the things that they want from you, it didn't register, it didn't leave an imprint. And so I feel like you're going through, that Rolodex in your mind. You're trying to recall the conversation. You're trying to recall the situation. You're trying to recall their words and what they said, specifically pertaining to communication, pertaining to the effort that they're putting in, pertaining to when they're going to withdraw, pertaining to what they wanted and expected from you. And I feel like these pieces of information might be slipping your mind. Very important. At the time, it might not have felt to be so dire or so important to you. And so it slipped your mind. And I feel that you're getting bits and pieces, flashbacks of this conversation, of what they said, of what they expected. And everything is going to start to make sense. And I feel like this is somebody who's very much, I feel like by the book, whatever they say, they mean. Okay, and I feel like this is not somebody who's duplicitous. They're not going to say one thing and do another. And so they have been nothing but consistent with the things that they say and the things that they do. And so what you're dealing with in terms of, their behavior towards you right now and the aftermath of that, you're going to start to get bits and pieces of information to explain to you why they are behaving the way that they're behaving, and it's going to start to make sense to you. And I do see here there was a connection that was really, really good. Okay, like there's great chemistry. We have the Lovers, and the Lovers is kind of like, that really passionate chemistry that we don't find very often. Okay, so this is I would say, for me at least, it's like once in a lifetime. It's once in a blue moon. It comes, it rarely comes in the picture. So this is like meeting somebody for the very first time and you feel like your soul remembers one another. And this is like meeting somebody for the first time and then feeling very magnetically attracted to them. They might not be your usual type. They might not, for example, if you have a type, if you like, tall, dark, and handsome, this person might be a little bit outside of the norm. If you like, whatever your preference is, like even, light skin, light hair, light eyes, I feel like they're very different from you. So whatever it is, they're a little bit outside of your normal type. But for whatever reason, you find yourself very magnetically like attracted to them. And attraction is usually indicative of something a little bit deeper. It's like a soul connection. And so with this Lover's card, I almost feel like for many of you, you're aware that this is something that is very precious. It is something that, it doesn't surface every year. It's once in a blue moon. It is very rare, and the connection is very real, and it's felt in a very visceral way. Like, you can't really deny this connection. And so many of you might be shying away from it because it's unexplainable. It's hard to explain. It's hard to make sense of it. And just based on the sheer fact that you don't know this person very well, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. But I do sense that there's this energy about the other person that they really want to pursue this connection. They're longing for contact. They're longing for communication. They're longing for you to reach out. And I also feel like you're thinking about them. You're trying to figure out, how do I reconnect? What do I say? How do I approach it? How do I say something to make sure that they will respond? Because you don't want to just, send out messages willy-nilly and have them not respond. You're trying to craft the ideal message in a way where they have no choice but to respond. And so I feel like you're in the process of crafting something, creating something, trying to figure out, how do I do the catch-all sentence so that the other person is sure to respond. And so I feel like they're waiting on you. They're scoping to see what you're doing. They're curious about what you're doing. They're curious as to what you're up to. They feel like there has been some massive changes within you, and they're curious. And I feel like they are concerned. They do care about you. So it's not just nosiness and curiosity. I feel like they do have that quality about them where they do care about you. And they want to know what you're up to, and they care about what you're up to, and they care about what you have to say. So whatever it is that you want to say, I don't feel it has to be carefully crafted. I don't feel like it has to come with strings attached. I feel like just as long as you're open and honest, this person is willing to reciprocate and answer, and respond and open up that channel of communication. Okay? So the thing that I feel is really blocking the communication, and we have the Emperor and the Devil. And the Emperor and the Devil, this is kind of like refusing to succumb to temptation. Okay, this is like, once again, I get a lot of like passion and chemistry that you have with another person. And I feel like it's very strong between both parties. And I feel like you're the one trying to wait it out. You're the one trying to, deny how much of an impact it's having on you. And you're the one trying to play it cool. And you're the one trying to, like, not let your emotions, your feelings, your passion run away with you, because you're still trying to figure this person out. You're still having trouble trusting this person 100%. And then I also feel like there's ego and pride here too that might be hindering and affecting this the communication in this relationship all along, where two people are not really opening up and making assumptions about one another that might not be true. You know, so I don't feel like it's game playing. I feel like it's a mirroring energy, and it's misunderstanding. And so let's just say, okay, you have somebody that you're connected to, let's say via Instagram, and you're scrolling through their Instagram account, and you're seeing them with, let's say you're attracted to a female, and you see her taking pictures with a lot of male friends, right? Let's say she's a heterosexual female, and she's taking a lot of pictures with male friends, and you're just like, wow, she gets around, or wow, she has a lot of suitors, or she's flirtatious, or she's talking to a lot of people. And so I feel like you feel like, well, she doesn't need me, and then you start to detach. And you start to detach, you start to feel as if, you know what, she has so many suitors, I'm not going to be amongst one of those suitors. I'm not going to be the one to, follow her around. So I feel a lot of it is like, I want, like, giving somebody a taste of their medicine, but in a way where it's like, it's all ego driven. It's very much about pride. It's about saving face. It's about not wanting to make a fool out of ourselves and making assumptions about the other person that might not be true. And then you later find out that, oh, all of those guys that she was posting pictures with on Instagram, they're cousins and they're brothers and they're best friends. And, you know, they're people that are not, she's not romantically linked up with. And so I feel like, once again, this situation can be vice versa. And I do feel this mirroring energy where the two of you, so, you know, are doing the same thing to one another and making assumptions about one another that might not be true. Okay, so that's what I feel here with this devil energy. It's sort of like the thing that keeps you bound and tied. And a lot of it is stubbornness, refusing to apologize, refusing to admit when we make mistakes, refusing to kind of like let our guard down, refusing to just like soften up, okay? So the message I feel that's coming across for you guys is, you know, that white flag, okay? It's about acceptance. It's also about giving up, but not in a way that you think, not about giving up on a connection. It's pretty much surrendering to the experience, surrendering to the fact that I want to find out what's going on. I want some truce. It's more like a truce than anything. So when I said the word surrender, I was thinking like, okay, let's say you have your troops, okay, because the emperor leads soldiers to battle, right? And you have your troops, and if your troops have been kind of like decimated by an opposing troop, like a rival, and let's say you only have like 1,000 men left, right? And you know they have 50,000, and there's no way 1,000 men can overtake 50,000. And so you wave up that flag, okay? Because in the greater scheme of things, it's about doing the right thing for the men in your charge, right? Knowing that if you continue this war, the men that you're entrusted to take care of, they're going to get slaughtered. And so in the spirit of doing the right thing, we're going to wave our flag, we're going to surrender, we're going to reach some sort of a truce so that our men can, you know, at the end of this, our men can potentially walk away with their lives intact. Okay, so it's about doing the right thing. And so what I feel here is it is all about doing the right thing, looking at things from a different perspective, and kind of like dropping that ego and trying to, you know, find a way to communicate, to reach a resolution, to arrive at a truce so that both sides can feel at peace again. So both sides can feel like, can communicate again, so that channel of communication can open again, so that there's like a mutual understanding, all right? And then towards the end of the month, what we have here is the Temperance card and the Chariot card. Both of these cards are major arcana cards, and it basically indicates to me things are flowing. The communication, like the open channel of communication is happening for you. Things are moving in the right direction. So even though if you have been, you know, with the other person, working at cross purposes with the other person, making these assumptions and, you know, tit for tat, or even like assuming that they're dating other people, so then you detach and then you start dating other people and then you start posting pictures and things like that. Whatever it is that you know, these two people are doing when they're dancing around each other and not really addressing the issue, I feel like there's going to be an open channel of communication between the two of you where you start to kind of align yourself and start to work towards a common purpose and a common goal. I feel like emotions as well, open, honest, sincere communication is going to come through. The Temperance card is all about patience. And it's all about, you know, like, it's not opening the floodgate, opening the dam. It's about opening the faucet, letting the trickle of water come in very, very slowly. It's like testing the water, feeling things out, gauging intentions, trying to understand like one step at a time, rather than opening the floodgate, okay? But I feel like there's going to be about the other person's behavior, why they've been acting the way they have been, and even what you can do to get the open channel of communications up and running again. And so there is going to be a resolution, and I feel like whatever has been keeping you stuck, the opportunity is here to make amends, to reconcile, to finally realize that you both have been waiting on each other all along. And, make some amends, okay, like with one another. And I feel like the energy is flowing in so mutually that the two of you do really miss one another, and there's like great feelings and both parties feel really hurt, and I just don't like it when it's based on a misunderstanding, it's based on like miscommunication, or it's based on communication that is sent but never responded to. And like, these are very, very silly circumstances to keep people stuck in. So I feel like it's like doing the right thing, being the bigger person, and trying to remedy a situation before it goes further, like it gets more sour. And so I feel like there's reconciliation here, and it's going to be really great. And if anything, it's going to clear up some communication for you guys, you and another person, and the two of you can kind of like work towards a common goal and to move the relationship along as well. Okay, so I'm really glad to see this for you, and so try not to, if you need, if like you're communicating with someone, try to have conversations face to face rather than through text messages where you can't gauge tone and intention. And then if you like, it's always better to over clarify and over explain than it is to leave things vague and up for interpretation. So just don't assume the other person knows exactly what you mean. It is a really good time to explain your intentions, okay? So I will leave it at that, Taurus. I wish you all the best, okay? I have a link, well, I have two links now in the description box below. One is for a psychic out of California. She is phenomenal. If you're looking for spiritual guidance, I don't do private readings anymore, but I highly recommend that you book a reading with her. Her name is Bridget, and she's based out of California. And I also have a link in the description box below for an artist. She does like alcohol-based paintings on different medium, and she is phenomenal, and she has a website as well. And I recommend that you visit the website if you want to look at some artwork, okay? I will leave it at that.